Give up a little bit of time.
Welcome, everybody, and especially our new member, Maggie. We're so glad to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited.
Good. Okay, let's see, Rachel, how about roll call?
Karen Stroud,
Yes.
Maggie Fox,
Here.
Scott Reed,
Here.
Dan Mulder, here. Sarah McLean, here. Jay Wilkie, here. Good. Perfect.
Okay, moving on to approval of the minutes. Did anybody have any comments or additions, deletions? Nope. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
Okay. Good. Rachel, board communications. Good. Well, let's just get on to public comments and that'll be quick. And now discussion items. So first thing is office appointments. So there was discussion last night at council meeting about whether there should be limits to terms. And they basically decided that it seems to be kind of taking care of itself in the last few years. For a long time, it was like certain boards and commissions have the same people on, but now it's been turning over a little bit better. So
They did decide, I believe, though, that if your term is up and you want to continue to be on it, you do have to reapply. You'll have to do an application, which I think you two did anyway.
yeah, we did anyway.
Yeah.
So Rachel will remind you, who's up the end of this year? I don't even know.
I think I am.
Yeah.
And are you up too, end of this year?
We were up this year.
Yeah, it's gotta be
Okay,
Sarah
yeah.
here.
Oh, yeah, okay. I think end of this year I'm up.
The other thing that was discussed is whether there should be limits on how long somebody is chair and whether it should rotate and all that. And what they decide, I think they said that they're not going to do anything about that at this time either. So
Leave it up to the individual boards.
yeah.
I think because of the turnover of the board members and the board members nominate the
Yeah,
chair that we left it.
and really it was
As
only
is.
Harbor Commission that it did. We've only been on board for 2 years. So,
Yeah.
and with that, shall we go on to electing officers for this year? Would anybody else like to be chairperson?
You're in.
All right, is there a nomination?
I'll nominate you.
I can second.
Yeah.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thanks, guys. Trying to do a good job again this year.
We're done on you.
Vice Chair, I talked to Scott about this just briefly, but I have this idea that we want the young people to kind of get comfortable in these positions. So anyways, I would like to nominate Sarah for Vice Chair this year. I second that. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
You
Good.
okay with it?
Congratulations.
All right, sounds good. Sarah, would you like to be vice chair? Scott, you sure you wanna?
Yeah, know it. We need young people.
Okay, I'd be happy to help out then.
Great.
And if you need me as vice, I can be here.
The backup will die.
Vice Junior.
I like the idea of having vice in your title. Okay, let's see, meeting dates are pretty straightforward, I think. Any problems with any of them? People that have kids in school, any vacations or Sophia? All
Didn't
looks
look
good?
like any fell really close to
Yeah,
a
can
holiday.
go
That's the only thing I was looking for. If anything felt too close, it doesn't look like they do.
16.
I plugged them into my calendar and none of them overlapped with any of the school
Yeah.
breaks or holidays.
It looks like,
Wait,
I will be gone in May.
okay. It looks like November is pretty good away from Thanksgiving and December
Yep, I
17th.
saw that
Similar to
too.
this year.
That's fine.
Okay, great. And Rachel's gonna go through an orientation, the new people.
I think you need to vote real quick, just ayes or nays on that meeting minutes.
Okay. Those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
You get along.
got a schedule. Let's see, so Rachel's got some like housekeeping type stuff for orientation. And then we started this last year doing a parks report to give to council on what we did the previous year, what we're planning to do this year, just to keep that support going. So, how do you want to do this, Rachel? You want to do the housekeeping stuff first?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then do you want to take over for the?
Sure, yeah.
So this is similar to what we did last year, and it's similar to what Victor does for council. It's actually the exact same presentation, but much shorter. So the Harbor Springs Parks Board, what is the purpose? To provide city council work with Parks Director regarding adequate parks, recreation programs, and facilities for the enjoyment of all citizens. The board promotes recreation programs and recommends planning and operating policies for city parks. What does this look like? We meet the third Tuesday of every month at 5:30 p.m. At City Hall. It's 2-year terms. We are an 8-member board, 7 voting board, chair, vice chair, city council member, city residents, and then the parks director will act as secretary, also a non-voting. What do we do? Attend all meetings. I want to say it's 2/3 of all meetings need to be attended to remain on the parks board. Assisting parks director with management of city parks, events, playgrounds, and green space, assist with the 5-year parks plan and guide development of recreation park facilities and programs. Open Meetings Act, all decisions must be made in a meeting open to the public. All deliberations, the public body constituting a quorum of its members. So with our 7-member board, a quorum would be 4. Thus, board members cannot deliberate or discuss city business if there are 4 board members present and a board meeting hasn't been noticed. Victor and I always advise no discussion should take place on agenda or upcoming agenda items, no matter the number, unless it's one-on-one specifically in regards to something. Social gatherings, chance encounters, conferences are exempt as long as city business and public policy are not discussed. Emailing and texting other board members about city business during meetings would violate the Open Meetings Act. We recommend just not being on your phones at all, just because it is recorded. It kind of looks shady, even if it's not. So just try and stay off your phone unless it's emergency.
You have kid stuff going on, obviously.
Yeah, that's different. I mean, you and I check my phone. It's not bad. So required for the Open Meetings Act is public must be given notice of meetings. The schedule of regular meetings must be published at the beginning of each year, which we'll do now that we have approved our meeting dates. Notices must contain city's name, contact information. They must be posted at the city hall, basically. So we go above and beyond this. So we not only post our agenda on the website, but we post our full packet. It's more transparent that way. We also post our agenda in 2 physical places at City Hall, the Harbor Market, and the post office. So there should be no lack of transparency ever with the general public. Open meetings that continue, the board can only meet in closed session for a specific reason. It's usually personnel issues, negotiations, purchase, a lease of property, consult with the attorney. But all decisions have to be made in open session. We don't really have to worry about this too much as a parks board. City staff can attend closed session and the board can request that private citizens attend if appropriate. No one can be excluded from a public meeting except for a breach of peace at that specific meeting. The board cannot require people to sign in to attend a meeting. The board can establish rules for public speaking. Ours is 3 minutes. It's timed. I just use my cell phone, pretty simple. The board can establish time limits for public comment. Just went over that. And they have to state their name and address for the minutes. Like I said, the quorum of the board is 4 to 7. A member who has a conflict of interest cannot be counted as part of the quorum for that particular issue. A motion must be made by one member and is supported by another member before holding a vote, like we just did for our chair, vice chair. Abstaining to vote from a matter which a member does not have a conflict of interest has the same effect as a no vote. A tie vote means a motion failed, and no proxy voting is allowed. Roll call votes are recommended for matters of significance, large contracts, and ordinances. We also don't do that very often. City structure, you have the mayor and city council, city manager, and then the different colors are how the boards were created. Like what is like a state, like the planning commission versus like how the DDA is established versus the parks board, which is through the city council. So Harbor Springs Parks and Social Media. So we have a Harbor Springs Facebook page. And then I just want to get this out of the way so there aren't questions later. There is an Instagram skate park page and there is a Facebook skate park page, but they're not city affiliated. They're ran by Nate. We can't force Nate to take them down. So those sites will stay up. I don't believe with the communication we have with Nate, it'll be confusing at any time or I'm not worried about any misinformation getting out there, but just so you know, if someone does bring up, well, the Instagram page said this, or like the Harbor Springs Skate Park page on Facebook said this, those aren't officially affiliated with the city, so it's not, nothing official is gonna be posted on there.
Is there any disclaimer at all to that effect? That people might mistake it as a
Can't
official
force them
city?
to. It's the same with Kiwanis. Like if you look up Kiwanis Park on there's like a whole disc golf. And some and I try and comment as I can to correct things, but that's social media for you. So unfortunately,
Could we ask though? Does it?
I did ask.
Or you did,
no
and
go.
Nate doesn't want to?
Mhm.
Does he do the disc golf one too, or is that somebody else?
No, I don't know who has a disc golf one. I don't know who's in charge of that one. I mean, there's even an old skate park Facebook page before Nate even, when like Gina worked here and that, and like I can't get Facebook to even take that one down. It's gotta be the creator and it's just, it's a mess. It's not a perfect system. But that's why on ours, I just like to keep the city logo as our, so then it looks a little more official.
Right.
Does the city have an Instagram page or just
Yes.
Facebook?
Yeah, so the city of Harbor Springs has. an
Oh, I'm sorry,
Instagram.
the parks.
Yep, no, we don't have one.
Okay.
You know, the city one, I'll be honest, I don't know a lot about Instagram. I use it personally a little bit. But Victor runs the city one and is trying, but yeah, I'd definitely be open to it.
I would,
Well, you can
I would
find it.
suggest, because I know a lot of people my age and younger don't even have Facebook
Yeah.
and they mainly use
So my kids
Instagram.
say, yeah.
Yeah,
I agree.
And I'd be happy to
Facebook
help
is
with
for
that
old
too.
yeah, so that'd be perfect.
I agree.
Yeah, actually, you just link Facebook right to Instagram. and
Yeah.
Do the.
And I think that's what the
same time.
DDA does,
Yeah.
because they have
Yeah.
both. And I think whatever
Yeah.
they post on Facebook just automatically
Yeah.
goes to their Instagram.
Is it in your wheelhouse, Rachel, or do you need some help from Maggie or?
I would probably need help on just how to navigate. It's like
Yeah,
I
I
said, I
can
have one, but I can tell you what time something on there.
No problem.
Wait, so yeah, so those are those, and then.
I was like, she's probably better than me.
And
Well,
why
don't we have-
for Sophia?
You'll include, like, if you're there with your volunteers too, collecting photos and images
Yeah, I
and
could make sure
creating.
we get like NHS and Key Club related photos for sure. Would this be about starting a Parks and Rec Instagram account or like?
I think you would have to own it, right?
Yeah.
You just
so
have
the
to, and
city
you
would
just have to
own
link it.
Yeah,
It's,
yeah.
they are interchangeable, so when
Yeah.
I'll help you when you log in your Facebook account, how to just link it to Instagram.
Okay.
I'd like to make a
Create
suggestion too. I want Sophia to have something important to say when her friends say, what are you doing on Parks Board? Like,
I get that.
I started the Instagram, I started the Instagram account. So maybe if you could get with Rachel and then Maggie can loop in too. Yeah. And then who keeps it updated, once it's
So
public?
the city's pretty strict on who has access to them, so it's myself, Victor, so the city page is Victor and myself, we're the only two, but don't quote me. And then, the parks page is just myself, which I mean, like so much
You
damage.
can give other people a.
When you
administrative
get
rights
post
if
on
you want
Facebook,
to,
it
but-
Right, the DDA one has a few on there, so it
Yeah,
can't,
you
it's
have
not
to-
that strict.
It's the same one.
Yeah, so she would have to do
Yeah.
it.
So we'll get some login information for you and get it at least started. And then there's gotta be a way you can start it as a draft before it's posted, right? Or no?
It's easy.
It's pretty, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
It's easy.
posts?
Well, whatever once you link the
Yeah.
Facebook page to an Instagram page, whatever you post on Facebook will go on the Instagram page.
Yeah, okay.
So you
We'll
guys
find a
should-
way to get you
Let's
involved.
talk more
Yeah.
about,
Yeah.
later in the meeting, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rachel, do you want to talk about the map that?
Yeah,
the
so,
interactive map?
a few years ago, Togo Nexus had an intern. And Emma, this might not.
That's it.
Fine. I'll put it all back. She did a GIS mapping of all of our city parks. And the most fun thing about it is you can click each one individually and it'll take you to it and it'll give you all the amenities, surroundings, recreational opportunities, and a little bit of history on each. There's also, I mean, you can play with this for hours, but there's also like a search bar. If you were looking for all waterfront parks, you can navigate it that way. If you were looking for all sports parks, you can navigate it that way. You can type in pickleball, take you right to the pickleball courts. So this is a really fun map to get engaged, and learn more about all the parks properties except for the main ones that we all know about.
Is this consistent, some of the, activities available consistent with the brochure that we did?
So it's, the brochure is based off this for the most part, yeah.
Perfect.
Yep, so the parks brochure is based off this. The only things that are different are like the Glen Drive and those. But other than that, it's all.
Is Glen Drive, in Washington, called out here? Yep. It looks like it.
That's one of the reasons we never put it on the city website though.
This is not on the city website.
So how would someone access this then?
Yeah, let's.
For now, it's only been myself. I've had it.
Facebook post.
Yeah, there we go.
Here you go.
Yeah.
Is it something that you don't want spread?
It's something that we've had mixed feedback about because
Okay.
of the Glen Drive. But I mean, we can go in some ways, we can alter it, like we can update it with the login information. Yeah, so it's just been kind of like one of those things that we've like the brochure, like we went back and forth on, do we put this out there? Do we not put this out there?
Let's add that to the community outreach,
Yeah.
discussion, I think, about that, and then we can keep going.
Yeah, the idea was to put it on the website. That was always the intent.
So the mixed feelings are because of the two properties that are not located on our brochure.
Correct.
Because people were afraid that it would irritate some of the neighbors in Glen Drive.
Guys, those homes on Glen Drive are not interested in posting. I mean, which like we should not do it because of that.
But are we doing the
But
same thing
then-
for people that are, right, so Costa Park and, I mean, are we consistent?
No, because we don't have them on our brochure either. So this isn't consistent with our parks brochure. So I guess the question is, are those really parks or are they beach access? Like they're two very different things.
They could be called out as beach access too.
Yeah.
But Washington Street, you can't
That's
go in
not
the water.
beach, yeah.
Rocky, you should get down there, they're
It's
actually.
like a view access.
Get down there.
Pretty frightening.
And it's better than it used to be.
All right, should we keep going, Rachel?
Yeah, that was it for that. Right now. Are there any questions on the orientation or anything like that? Go ahead.
All right, so this, like I said, last year we did a presentation to council and then we also gave to Parks Board, and it's kind of good, like this is what we did last year, this is what we have planned for this year. So, next one, Rachel. So this started out as something that was called Things We've Learned at the end of last year. I'll just run through them real quick. So let's focus on keeping our parks as nice as possible before we start adding new things. Keeping a focus on quality over quantity, like not having too many projects to where we, are just kind of skating through things that should take more time. Keeping things simple rather than getting complicated. Flexibility because we have so many events, like Marina Park's a good example. Open green space is good. Early on, we decided we don't need everything that's on, a possible amenity checklist like splash pad or tennis courts or dog park, for example. Family-oriented spaces, amenities, events are very important. And we kind of learned the hard way on let's look at all the alternatives and pros and cons and not just talk about it, but actually put it out there. And trial concepts where we can. And residents want to know what we're doing and they want a voice. That's the community outreach part. Okay. So 12 things. If anybody can think of anything else that should be on here, let's do it. So we spent a lot of time doing an inventory of all the parks last year and went through, you know, what was needed and what else we could do with them. The western section of the boardwalk, that was a biggie. You've seen the Passport to Adventure brochure, yeah. That turned out really nice. You get a ton of compliments on that. Next one. Skate park was opened. Still some work to be done, but it was packed the first few days it was open. Let's see, finally got the playground ordered, and so that'll be early spring. Conceptual planning on Kiwanis Park, and went after a grant on that. Unfortunately, we didn't get it, but you know, I think it's all still good stuff. Maybe we need to chop it into phases though, or find an easier way to do it. Next. And if you want to see the plan or any of that, Maggie, get in touch with Rachel and she can send it to you. Let's see, Rachel's been working with the Top of Michigan Trails Council and Harbor Inc. on Harbor Way, which is the name of the extension of the wheelway. And basically it connects the wheelway where it ends right now, kind of by Bay Bluffs, to come down the hill and go underneath the spillway. We had some great events last year. We had river sledding and s'mores canceled last year too. Easter egg hunt, Fall Fest. Let's see, we were involved with Tree Board's Arbor Day celebration. I've just had a blank on his name, Travis. Trevor up at Kiwanis Park did some great improvements on the disc golf course, cleaned up the trails, added benches. I think still on the list are the concrete tee pads for the back.
Right.
9, yep. Rachel and I participated in the installation of the rain garden. And I think we did 4 Parks Corner articles in the Harbor Light, and then we've got another one coming up hopefully next week. It's again, it's sort of a community outreach thing.
I think one other thing that's not on there is that the yoga in the park has been a great success.
Yes,
You know,
yeah.
we just reached out and she said yes, but the way it's been going, it's great.
So that was a good example of kind of partnering with the private sector rather than we hire a yoga instructor and we handle, you know, scheduling and all that. It was a real easy way for us to support that. Great.
That's on the agenda later, right? To talk a little bit more about.
Yeah, the
Okay.
survey, yeah.
Yep. So one of the big things that we discussed at the end of last year was learning more about who is using our parks, and what the community is interested in, what the priorities are. You know, we're being asked to help fundraise on a lot of big projects, and kind of getting split in a lot of different directions. And what does the community value? What do they want to do? So part of it too is we get money from West Traverse and Little Traverse Townships. A total of, is it 30,000, Rachel?
No, it's like 26.
Yeah.
Yeah. Towards 3 parks. It's the beach, it's Kiwanis, and it's
Each one can skate park.
That's great.
yep, so nobody really remembers how the percentages got set long ago, but if you look at the cost of operating those parks compared to the percentage that they contribute, it's like almost completely inverse opposite of what you would expect based on how many elementary kids live in the, or how many kids live in the city versus live in the townships. So we're hoping through surveys and that type of thing to find out more about what those percentages are, so we can maybe come up with, you know, a percentage that makes some sense and is actually based on something. Great. And so we've got to figure out how to go about doing this. So Rachel and I came up with a survey a QR survey that was on a, poster that, well, it is on a poster that'll be at the next sledding event for Kiwanis. And so it links you in and you can see on the poster what the park looks like, or what the proposed park looks like, and then, questions about where you're from. What else was on there? Anyways, so we're hoping to come up with some questions for each park and have it on a yard sign with a QR code so we can, get information from people that visit. We had also discussed, there's another method where you can tap in. You can monitor phones to find out where the phones are and where they mainly reside. And I'm blanking on his name now too.
Bob Buckner.
Bob Buckner had offered to help us with that. There was some preliminary discussion about, with all the hubbub about the Hallmark Channel and, Big Brother's looking at us, that we just weren't sure how well that would be received in the community. Well, I don't think so either. So that's kind of on hold for right now. Other things we've talked about is doing interviews at the parks, our volunteer corps this summer. And then doing a big community-wide, meeting all of the townships survey to determine usage patterns and what people are most interested in.
And I think on these surveys, the most important thing is that have wording and questions that say, what township do you live in or what city? Because,
It's an agenda item,
you know,
just saying. I don't
Okay.
wanna get too
Yeah, we're gonna
ahead of ourselves.
Let's get to that. Yep.
Can I make a comment on the QR code at Kiwanis? Rach and I talked about this earlier before the last one that got canceled. My thought was it would really be pretty easy to have a clipboard and just simply ask people where they live.
Mhm.
Because I think some people may not bother to, tap into the QR code with their phones in the middle of sledding. So I mean, it's an easy way to just kind
I
of.
think Rachel printed out like tally sheets. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be pretty easy to do that way.
we talked about doing interviews at the park, so that would be an interview.
Could be.
So we'll talk more about that. So, projects for this coming year. So, completing the ones that we've got started. So, we need to do like a plaza area and some just minor landscaping, even if it's just lawn area, grading and grass around the skate park.
And Cops has quoted that at about 6,000 to do that. That's likely the road will take.
Does that include a fence?
Yes,
along the road?
we are thinking.
That doesn't include the fence alone, that's just for putting in the rest of the concrete of the building. But yeah, the landscaping will include a fence or some sort of buffer off the road. Yep.
You did hear a couple
Doing the
stories about
access,
kids and scooters.
Is that what he's doing?
Yeah.
Most likely, there'll have to be a drain, so the 3 key points will be, well, 4, will be a drain off the building there, it doesn't, cause the skate park has its own drainage system, and we basically did a handshake with Evergreen, Lucas and I saying we won't tie anything else into that drain system to mess up all the hard work they've done. So there'll have to be a drain off the building, so it drains, so the pickleball courts and everything kind of comes together, so you don't have a mess there. Pups quoted the concrete at around 6,000, and it'll be grass. Where we deem, grassed in for now, and then, the buffer. And then Dan and I had talked about like landscaping, gardens and things like that, but I think we decided in the board, we can discuss when we have plans, is keeping it more simple for now until we see what the use is gonna look like.
Mhm.
And put more, easy maintenance plants in.
Just
Things
like
like
grasses
that,
or
or-
things,
yeah.
so it's, breaks it up.
So we're not, planting annuals there, taking annuals out and doing all that every season.
There are trees that we will be put
Yeah.
in as part of that tree project on 119. So they held off on that until construction was done. And then DPW is putting in a sprinkler system, so that'll be good.
Yeah, they'll do all the irrigation. So that'll save a pretty.
And then for right now, no additional lighting. I think, isn't there a big light over the pickleball courts?
Yeah, so there's a decent sized light over the pickleball courts, and we have security lighting off the building. We still have the lights that we took out, so we're not opposed to putting them back in. But like we kind of talked about, like kind of see what the use is like, how late they are. I mean, you can time them, there are certain things we can do. But it's pretty light till about 9, so we can just kind of work as we go. I'm hesitant to just put them back in. But we also don't know really where to put them, what the best placement will be. So,
Kind of another whole issue too, if you let it be open all night.
yeah, and they need to be updated, yeah.
Isn't that on the roof?
Yeah, so we don't have an ordinance for our parks times. We have it on our rule sign. I don't think technically if the officers went up there, they could, say a ticket or anything like that. But we do have it on the rule sign till sunset, which is pretty across the board for all of our parks.
The lights on a timer where they could just go off,
Pickleball courts, yeah.
and how about skate park?
The skate parks aren't. They probably could be, they just haven't been, because staff has always been there 10 and shut them off. So we still have them, like, we're gonna keep them, and we still have it, yeah, we designed it where they can still go back in, deem, but just kind of see what the usage is like first.
Then the other thing is, the City Beach Playground, and so there'll be like a raised area. John Cups is gonna do the, kind of a little raised wall so that it's level instead of sloping down the beach. And I think we're just gonna do some little grasses to keep sand from blowing on and blowing onto it, and then, just really simple. Next. Then, you said, we're trying to find out what are the priorities, like of all the big things we have going on, what really matters to the community. And then we're gonna talk more about methods and all that. So this was what I came up with that we've been talking about with the big projects that might go on a community-wide survey. So the eastern section of the boardwalk, Harbor Way, which is the wheelway, Kiwanis Park improvements, community garden location TBD. We're gonna have a talk about that next month. A possible picnic pavilion up at Harborview Park, which is kind of up at by Cosaplat there. Like that could be used for Little League picnics or family reunions, kind of thing. Cosaplat Playground, we've talked about moving the old beach equipment up there, which is better than what's there now. Let's see what the community thinks about that too. And then Rachel and I have had a preliminary meeting with Bill McCullough from the Harbor Commission about, and then Karen's on the committee as well, about possible improvements to Ford Park, including better parking, better circulation, better drop off for kayaks, more kayak storage, more to come on that, but it's gonna be a little ways out, I think, to get going.
I'm not sure you might even want to include it in our survey. It kind of rests in the hands of the Harbor Commission right now, kind of a sensitive issue. I mean, the state of Michigan really has a lot to do with what we do with Ford Park, because they built that. So if we do anything, it would probably just be kind of making the drive a little bit wider, so more traffic can run more smoothly.
Yeah.
But that's kind of Bill's sharing that subcommittee that we have. So it's kind of gonna be a slow progress, process to get done.
Well, we could ask, and we can see how the Harbor Commission feels about it. Because again, it is, the main use of that park is, sorry, I'm aesthetic. Is that we could ask the survey to be more about the building. The restrooms, I mean, the building itself is more parks oriented than anything like improvements people would want to see to it or not see to it. I don't know. But if we were gonna afford, we could ask about the girls. We could ask about, would we like to see more lands? We could ask about drainage. Like I'm not there every day, and that could be a way bigger problem than we think. Those things are parks related, and we can base those survey answers no matter what the Harbor Commission decides to do. I mean, right?
I think we
Pretty
would
much,
talk
I
to
think
them
it kind of
before we-
depends on where
Yeah,
they want to go with
Right.
the phase one, if there is a phase one, and
Right.
what it would cost. And I think it'd be worthy of a discussion with, JB and, maybe, whoever.
so maybe we just kept ours, we spoke to you, we just kept ours more specific to park amenities, so people
Yeah.
knew there is a difference between like kayak storage, that's not parks, or
Right.
the parking really isn't parks, but if we made it very detailed, saying the building, the green space, the drainage, grills.
Picnic area,
Yeah.
whatever.
At least then, when the Harbor Commission does come, we can say, well, we did this part for the parks area.
And
This is what we would
here's
like to
input.
incorporate, yeah, that's what's important to our users versus the voters.
That's a good thought, though, Karen.
So,
Okay. Then, this came up at the last meeting, programming, and, what else do we want to do with that? Sarah brought that up. So we've talked about like, during these long winter months, it'd be fun to have free swims, open gyms, things like that. And then possibly more classes with the private sector partnering in like yoga. So, I guess we could talk about this right now, but how do we want to proceed? Do we want like to talk about it at our board meetings, or do we want to have like a little subgroup talk about it, or?
the schools are open to it. I reached out to Brad, the superintendent. I didn't give him any specifics. I basically just asked, are you even open to this concept of doing a gym sharing, for like a field day? I know we discussed, or open gym on random days, or doing like I said like a 4-week, basketball clinic, anything like that. Or even like a rain out day for our events, like what we ran into with Fall Fest. And he said he was open to it. So I said that we would meet again, whether in a committee or a board, and kind of come up with what our vision would be, and then send a proposal to him. And then he can take it to the school board and say like, well, this works for us, but this doesn't for this, but I want to take something to a more solid, but he was very open to it. So that was
I
nice.
think we decided that next month we're really going to focus on programming more,
Yeah.
so maybe we spend the time then.
Yeah, it'll be a whole agenda item. Yeah. So we can talk about if we want to do a committee, what we're looking for, things like that.
And then funding always is a problem. So we've got the whole grant issue, we've got private donations. There may be a partner on the ice skating rink, which would be awesome. And then the whole township contribution thing. That's what I had
You're presenting that to,
at some point,
at some
yeah.
point, but you don't have a date yet.
That'll be March,
March.
but I'll let the board know. Council has a lot going on in February still, so you don't need another 3-hour meeting.
It's fun.
It won't.
Does anybody have any additional input or anything else? Jamie, what do you think council would want to hear in addition to this? What we've done, what we're gonna do?
I can also email it out to everyone to
Yeah.
review since we have till March. I think that might be easier.
I think maybe put it in next month's packet to talk about it more in depth, so we don't think about it. Cause I don't know, right now.
So if you've had good discussions with the school about programming, is it possible to bring up the pickleball situation, the courts?
Yes, I don't know if that's Brad or the athletic director.
You talking about tennis courts?
There's
Yeah.
6
Yeah.
tennis courts back
It-
there.
It's
How
a-
much are they used
It's a
during?
new athletic director as opposed to whoever brought it up in the past. I know when it was brought up in the past, it was a very, very hard no. But it was a different athletic director, it was a different superintendent.
It was coaches too,
Okay,
and there's new coaches.
okay.
I would assume the new administration involved in all of that would be more open to it.
Excellent. Happy to have you.
There's certainly people asking all the time.
Oh, I know, yes.
We're talking about,
It's-
not kids, but
Yeah.
the older population.
Yes.
You
Fastest
only have
growing
two.
sport.
Right, and there's 8 of them, we're not looking to line all 8, but it'd be nice for even 2.
We
And
start
it
with
really
two.
doesn't, I mean, I play tennis and pickleball, and the lines don't really mess it up that much.
Yeah, you kind of ghost the line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would that interfere with the meets that Harbor Springs hosts for our tennis team?
So I think that's what was brought up in the past, is that they're lined for pickleball, and I have no idea what the accuracy of this, that's what I've been told, is if they're lined for pickleball, you can't hold certain tournaments. Like tournaments will allow you to hold a tennis competition there if it's lined for pickleball.
Yeah, I know that we have at least 2 tournaments at Harbor Springs as of this year, I believe. So
During the
that might-
school year?
Yeah.
We can ask, the word they say is we hold tournaments and they can't, which is, valid reason.
Or, can you have,
I noticed that the Toskies where the students play there, those are used for pickleball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Bigger
Yeah.
tournament.
Yeah.
And can you have it where it's removable, so that it's only
Yeah.
there from, June 15th until September 1st? On two
So-
of the courts.
We talked about taping our courts for basketball. I don't know if the school will do that, only because the people that did the surfacing for our pickleball courts specifically told us never to put tape down. Cause I guess it leaves, and this is probably for people that are holding tournaments, things like that, but it leaves like a sticky film and you can never get it off. And then like, I don't know, I don't play tennis or pickleball, so I can't tell you, but I guess like that's not good for players.
Yeah.
But I don't know, but yeah, they're all worth asking,
Exploring.
absolutely, yeah, we should explore all of them, because that'd be much more convenient than putting in 2 more courts and expanding we have plans for Harborview, and it's a beautiful green space, so if we can somehow meet in the middle, that would be ideal.
So what's the next step on that then?
I'll reach out to Brad and ask what his thoughts are,
We should talk
probably
to
copy of the
coaches.
athletic director.
Yeah, just put Anna on it,
Yeah.
cause she'll have the answer, I'm sure, right away. Can't be the first time she's been asked.
No, I'm sure not.
Who's Anna?
Oh, she's the athletic director.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
What's your last
Anna
I can't think of it either.
Rigby, yeah.
name? Bay tennis is stuff.
Yes, they just put them on, and they host
Yeah.
tournaments too, so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pickleball's booming. We could put it in 12 courts and they would all be used.
They would.
I stand by it, like
They
they would
would.
all be used.
Right.
Might be an idea for Indiantown Park too, when we eventually research.
So that was discussed. There was a gentleman
I know who it is.
who was willing to pay to put him in there,
I know who it is.
and the neighborhood wasn't loud.
Well, I mean, it's.
I know.
City Park, right?
But yeah,
Like-
someone was willing to like donate
It's
the
one of the
entire
high
amount
parts
to put him in
pickleball
there.
Residential.
Like he came forward, it was before my time,
Balls are
but
not as loud as
yeah.
tennis balls.
it was kind of, I don't even know if it ever went to council. So it might be worth discussing again when we do like our survey. I don't think it even got that far. I think the neighborhood shut them down for everyone else, but now there's an added community there, so maybe they want,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, there's a lot of people building right there too.
Yeah, it's not quite you're right, like the quiet little street that it
Yes,
was.
it's,
I think that would be an
Construction.
asset to your area to be able to walk there versus
Yeah,
this way.
you could even put in like diagonal, like a few diagonal parking spots if you really wanted to. Yeah, it's definitely a big parks property.
Well, this would be another programming idea too, is we could have like the local pro at Birchwood, come hold a couple clinics.
So that's what Mark does.
Yeah.
So Mark
That's here.
comes and he doesn't do clinics, he does private lessons up at the skate park, and then he pays a percentage back to us for that. They're only during specific times. It's not early in the mornings, we don't allow it like after 5 PM. So it's like in the peak of the heat, when other players don't wanna be out there. And you can only use one court, so.
I know dehydration.
Okay, let's see, should we move on then to the survey?
Yeah.
discussion?
So I don't have a lot to add to this. We did find, Victor, going through the old Dusty file, did find how they came to that percentage. It is not a perfect science. It's like 2 pages. They agreed to the percentages that were set, I want to say it was like 1986. And then, like Karen said, it's basically just a chart. And it's where are you from, adults and kids, like in separate columns. And I basically just took that and put it in Excel and then printed it for our events. But it seems like they physically went out and like spoke to everyone, because obviously in 1986, we weren't using SurveyMonkey. And it's very basic. It looked like they just tallied, like
So
where.
that survey data went to the townships.
Correct,
And
yeah,
the townships determined based upon that survey data,
correct.
what the percentage would be.
Yeah.
And so is there somewhere within that agreement that lays any of that out?
I'll reread it, but it's not it's like minutes from a meeting. It's not like a set.
Like, is there an agreement there that then you could take to the townships and say,
I don't believe so, but I'll double check it.
Can you send it to everybody too?
yeah, it's like
It'd
a
be really-
Parks Authority, I'll scan it.
Yeah, Nick is the one who told me about it a year and a half or so ago. And no, I don't think there is any like follow-up, like if we
Yeah.
need, if we need more, can we come back to you?
Yeah, that's what I
It was just really
It's very
kind of
informal.
very arbitrary.
Yeah,
And it wasn't very scientific from what I understand. It was kind of population based. Little Traverse pays more than West Traverse, which kind of surprised me. So it wasn't very scientific.
And I think another thing to discuss too are the other smaller townships, you know, would they, their kids use their
Pleasant View
parks.
and- yeah.
I feel like there's gonna be a lot of flip flopping since 1986. Like, I feel like West Traverse will go down, Little Traverse will go up, and we'll see, Pleasant View, even all those other ones likely get involved, but they're not in it right now. And they might not be open to it. We can't, I don't know how that legally works. Not like we can force them.
There's a lot more houses in Boyne Islands now than there were.
Yeah, a lot
back then.
more, yeah.
Yes, more
And
developed now.
they may say, and this is something like for the future we don't discuss tonight or even this year, but they may say, you know, if we're giving up this much of a percentage, they want a board seat.
Yeah.
Right.
They're gonna say, which is okay, but that changes the dynamic of how we change like our bylaws and things like that. So the city would have to be open. I think the only other board that allows is Harbor Commission, right? Harbor Commission, I think is the
Yeah.
only one that allows for township.
Well, it would only seem fair if we're gonna ask them to pay.
Right, and I mean, that's
for them
valid.
to-
Yeah, I would feel the same way.
But
How
then-
is that, how would that then come out of their tax dollars or whatever? Would it just be a percentage? Like, why not? That wouldn't be like an extra thing added on to.
Well, it depends on how it's structured.
Yeah, I'm not
because we
sure.
discussed before, maybe having a parks authority.
Yeah.
So it would encompass the city and all the townships, and then I think the Parks Authority could leverage.
Right.
What am I trying to say?
Yeah.
Leverage and millage or
And
something.
it was a Parks Authority that originally did this. So that's why I'm saying that they may come back and say, okay, like that makes sense, but it also makes sense to have a say on the board.
But then what
So,
if
what
all
they
six
do right-
townships are involved? We can't have six.
No, but you,
I don't
how
think
many
it'll
are on the
come,
Harbor
yeah.
Commission?
11. I mean, how many
How
outside
many
the city? Yeah.
township seats are on it?
Well, there's one for West Traverse, one for Little Traverse.
So
There's
that's
a
the two.
Harbor Point and Wisconsin.
And I think our data would show like, okay, everybody from Pleasant
Right.
View uses our park, let's say, you know, let's have this amount of your percentage and then you get a seat on.
The Parks and Harbor Commission, those are the boards where it makes sense.
Yeah. If they'll touch the water.
Right.
But right now, the townships just writes a check for that same
Mhm.
amount. So it doesn't, it's not really on anybody's tax bill as such, but perhaps that could change.
Especially if the last data we had was from 1986.
Yeah.
Before we even had a Parks and Rec.
Yeah, there are a lot of
Right.
different systems, I'm sure, and a lot of different things that will change.
So there was a Parks Authority,
Correct.
and what happened, like, did that have a start date and an end date? Or is there still a current Parks Authority?
No, there isn't a current Parks Authority. It has an end date. I'm not,
Can you dig
I can
into
look, I can
that and let
dig,
us
yeah.
know?
not sure if we have all the minutes from it, but I'll check where Victor found those old minutes. So I don't know where they were held.
I didn't even know there
Yeah.
was one ever.
I know, me neither.
I just think when you look at all the improvements that we made to our parks, like a brand new skate park, you know, that they didn't contribute to at all, or did we for that matter, but, yeah, Marina Park and all the things that we do
Parks
there.
events, I mean, all of.
Parks events,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah,
The beach.
beach.
So
so
we're
it's
providing
like
a lot more
full-
to dog
It's
beach.
a Little League, and they're
Little League,
using
yeah.
our park
Yeah, the
to make
boardwalk.
that happen.
Yeah, baseball season.
Is there somebody on board before Danny? 'Cause he was,
Mhm.
Danny was the first, was. kind
Yeah,
of a
Benny was the first
part-time
part-time
director.
parks director and that was first full-time. So I don't, that's what I'm saying, like we have some of the minutes and Victor just stumbled upon those. So we'll find that box and look through
Yeah.
them, but I'm not sure where the meetings were held or who really, like Karen said, I'll send them out. They're very vague, the minutes I felt from the percentage. Ours will be a lot more clear.
Yeah.
And when it's reevaluated, things like that, like maybe it's reevaluated every 5 years when we do the parks plan, you know, because then you're surveying anyway. And then you're not bombarding people with surveys every.
Plus the schools have a very robust community schools program too, where there are a lot of different classes that could be taken through that. And it was, through the athletic director, did both the community schools and the athletic director. They had both things going.
Yeah.
And they did away with that. I don't remember how long ago. Do you remember that when you were in school here?
I'd also be curious, and this is probably just a personal thing, is what the townships have for parks themselves. What are they giving there, you know, like I know, I mean, do any of them have a beach? Like things like that, you know, like,
Yeah.
you know, because they may say, well, yeah, in 86, we were using your beach, but now we have our own beach, or that's just an example, but you get what I'm saying, like where they're at compared to 1986 as well.
There's a bear beach or is it a
Yeah,
county?
And also
I don't know.
Couch Village.
But ultimately, the goal is for us to be able to continue to make improvements to the parks that
Right.
people all around
Yes.
here use.
Yeah.
To be able to continue to build a recreation program, which everybody else would use. So if you're coming back to the why, it's not just, oh, give us money because of this. It's
Right.
because we want to enhance and we want to service our community and build our community. And so if we need to present or talk to different individuals, I think it would be nice to have, you know, a history of that.
Well,
And
and at
then
some point,
what are
Rachel-
options moving
Rachel
forward?
may need like an assistant. You know, like to work at the skate park or to work at the sledding events or to keep the sledding hill open on weekends.
I know JV was open to it, West Travers, to hearing what we had to say.
We wanted data though, for sure.
Yeah, but he wants pretty substantial information attached to it. Little Traverse, I don't know their township supervisors, so I'm not gonna speak.
So what's our next step on this then? To get the community-wide survey going?
Yeah, so
And let's just talk about when we would do it. Like, would we do it from Memorial to Labor Day? I think we talked about that. Like,
Yeah.
is there any point in doing it right now? Or do we want a whole year's worth of data, or that's too long to run a survey over?
See, the thing I'm kind of worried about, because I know we talked about this last meeting, but the survey, you know, QR codes at the park, so great, but we don't really get to the people that aren't at that park at that time, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, I would love to see us do something that is a little bit more widespread through West Trafford
I think we're
Township.
talking about
Or
two
Little
different
Traverse.
things though.
Yeah, like you're talking about enhancing particular parks or,
Well, we're talking about the yard sign QR.
Right.
But I think we're also talking about a bigger survey
that could
monkey.
go broader than that.
That I think this is where it would be really good to do something like that through Instagram. Or.
To
I know that
get it out.
Yeah,
Get it out to the schools because all the principals have newsletters and they can put the link in it and then it's what township do you live in?
Yep.
What parks do you visit? That's it.
Or
Like,
even, like,
super short.
Send them home with the kids, like.
Yeah. Yeah.
And have
Yeah.
them turn them in like homework.
Mhm.
yeah, where do you live? What parks do you use? And then also to help us prioritize our big projects.
Yeah.
Like have them rank them or something.
We just don't want to have duplication, you know, we just have to decide the best way to implement it, I think. You know, so that we're not doing the schools, which is a great idea, but also sending a letter out to the residents of West Traverse and Pleasant View and.
So lots of
Traverse,
ideas.
whatever.
How do we
Yeah.
bring this home now?
Yeah.
Doesn't SurveyMonkey only allow one email address for response?
So we
Can you set it
pay
up?
to have 3. But the issue is, but SurveyMonkey does have an issue, and that's that, so let's say we have all the same yard signs of all the parks. And I go to Gene Jardine, I do a survey, I think, and I don't know for a fact, I think that has to be the same survey, like, I don't think, because we have 22 parks, I don't think we have 22 different surveys out there. They have to be exactly the same. So I don't know how we differentiate what park they were at. Like, how do we know what the usage versus the beaches from the skate,
Well,
does that
that may
make
be a
sense?
question. Which park are you taking this at?
Correct.
Or even like, which parks have you visited? And you can link that map that you
Right.
showed us and they can
Yeah.
look, oh, I went there, I went there, I went
Yes.
there, I went there. Check
Yeah, and it
off.
has to be specific enough, like she said, like Maggie saying, to differentiate those, because right now the only cost share into the beach, the skate park. Specifically, it says the skate park and Kiwanis. So if we want to expand that, which I think we should at least investigate, the whole street, like, you know, the dog beach, all those. Yeah, we're gonna have to specifically ask, you know, what do you use?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, I, as a community member, I go to parks often.
Yeah.
I go to the skate park and then that evening I see the same yard sign when I'm down at the beach.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take another survey. Like,
Right.
if
and-
we're trying to
yeah,
determine
what you're
use,
saying,
that's
Yeah.
not gonna.
And if I'm at the beach with you know, my 3 kids, I'm not gonna walk over and scan a code and take a
Right.
survey. Like, I think it needs to be sent out to the community in like
Yeah,
a newsletter, the newspaper, you know, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
So maybe one survey instead of individual parks ones.
Yeah.
Because then they can just check the boxes of which parks they've used. And they take it one
And it
time.
could be a little more detailed to get at the information for each park.
Cause Maggie's right, it really is just about who's using it. You should probably ask how often
Yep.
you're using them, cause I can see that, which is valid, the townspeople will say, well, so they were at the beach, maybe they go once a year, that's not, you know,
There's a lot
very
to think.
validating, but they're going 3 times a week or something, that's different.
What do you guys think about having a survey committee to try and get this thing
Yeah, I
done?
was gonna say
Yeah.
that.
Raise your hand if you're interested. 1, 2, 3.
I did a Survey Monkey and I learned a whole lot. when I did that and what they charge you for.
Can't be 4, so
It can't be 4?
it'd be a quorum.
Okay, I'll stay off. And then, but we can bring back what you guys come, put it on the screen and see if the rest of the board has other ideas as well.
Yeah.
So do you want to try and come up with a time or do that later or?
We could probably do that later via email, we'll do like a doodle, to
Should
make sure
should we
we all
try and
match
see if
up.
we can get it done for the February meeting?
That's totally doable.
I don't know if we have to, I feel like we have to vote on that, do a committee, a subcommittee.
But
Maybe
that-
that's just the DDA
It's a subcommittee or are we an interest group?
or a committee, it wouldn't really be a subcommittee, but yeah, I would say.
Did you do a sub when you were doing?
Well, cause ICE
fundraising
Fest for the DDA is a subcommittee of their events and marketing committee. So this would be a survey committee, but we had to take a vote at the DDA meeting for committee members.
Well, what was,
What?
when we worked on the parks brochure, Allison and I with you we didn't call us anything.
Yeah, that's true, that's fine. That's okay, I honestly don't
Let's
know.
call it an interest group, then we won't get in trouble. Survey interest group. I think that's good, and then you guys can come up with kind of a first plan of things. And also, if you want to come up with timing and where to do it. When to do it. How to advertise it, how to roll it out.
How
Also-
widespread do we want to send it? That's the other big question.
I also like the idea of keeping it short and really about user and how often, because it won't get distracted with our amenities. Because when we redo our parks master plan, we're gonna have to do a whole different survey about users and amenities and like projects and things like that. That way, like they're very separate things.
I see the survey as having 2 purposes. One, determine usership, right? So we can maybe have more participation from townships, but also to help with priorities in the community.
It would be helpful too, Rachel, to find out before we even did this, what are the townships looking for? What is the data that they want to see specifically, so
That's a
that
good
way
idea.
we
Yep.
know what our goal is.
So West Traverse, JP just said he wanted numbers of people using them. He just wants like basic.
from him.
Yeah, I
What
can
that
speak to him
looks like.
again. I know I think with Victor, he spoke to him before. I think Bill Dome is the supervisor of Little Traverse. I think that's gonna be the tough one. I don't know. I've called. I haven't spoken to him. I can have Victor reach out. He likes to speak to
Do
Victor.
they have full say or do they have a board that they have to present it to?
They have a board they have to present it to, but I think they can choose to even take it to their
Want to.
board.
Because I think if we can get on their agenda and we could do like a
Yeah.
PowerPoint like Dana presented, like, this is what we have done. This is what we want to do going forward. Can we have this discussion? I think
Yeah.
you're gonna have,
Yeah, we'll have to present it, like, it
More, yeah.
won't be their township supervisors, unless they absolutely won't allow us on the agenda to present it. Which I guess is their choice, but I don't see that happening.
This
Yeah,
would
we
be
would go
after we
present
have the
it.
data,
Huh?
after we have the data.
Yeah, after we have everything, come up with something very, conclusive and take it to them and present it. It won't be just handing it off to them and then giving it to their board.
This is really good, you guys. I think this is a good step forward. Okay, should we just say the rest until you guys meet?
Sounds great.
Good for tonight. So here is an interesting epiphany I had about the implementation matrix. This is us saying what's most important. But yet we're doing the survey to see what the community thinks is most important. So I think it's still a valuable exercise, but I think we're gonna have to figure out how to temper what we think with what comes back on the survey, because it could be different. Should we go through this and let's see, we just had high, low, medium, and then Rachel, we came up with a number for each of them.
Yep.
Okay,
Remind me, why is high priority is 1,
Yes.
2 is medium, and low is 3?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
I think another great thing that Petoskey does, looking through their capital project plan, which they had professionally done, it's beautiful. But they have in there like what's next year, what's yearly, and what's 1 to 5 years out, and what's after 5 years. I think that's kind of helpful. I don't know how we add it to this, but
could be one
kind
more
of,
column.
yeah, just figure something out and just kind of highlight, or they're different color, I don't know how to do it, but yeah, I think theirs is just a separate column. And it puts it in,
Go to landscape.
Yeah.
It can almost be under progress
right,
too.
yeah,
Like instead of
exactly.
ongoing is yearly.
But it was nice because looking over, I never thought about it, but looking over it, I was like, well, this is what they're talking about now. Oh, this is what they're not even thinking about yet. And this is what they'll be working on next year.
Right.
It was
But
kind of-
instead of, like, not started.
And I thought it was kind of cool, like,
Yeah.
cause I mean, well, I don't have to go to a meeting about this for 5 years.
But instead of not started, you could do like 5-year
Right,
or 10-year.
yeah.
I think this is gonna take 10 minutes. Are you guys okay to stay 10 minutes? We're at 6:30.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I make just a general comment that what struck me when I was looking through this, which kind of changed my perspective on it a little bit. I did look through the scoring sheet for the two grants that we applied for. And some of the things that were lacking, we have on our list here is not started. Seemingly not as important, we didn't think. But in knowing what they're looking for when they look at the grant applications, we might want to consider what we learned from that and maybe make some of these more important, like the ADA compliance and the environmental best practices. And the recycling receptacles, which would be part of the environment, which I think is important. So that could change our perspective a little bit, so that we're prepared to be more in compliance when we apply for future grants. That's something that I thought of when we were going through this. And that kind of raised the priority a little bit in some of these on the list, perhaps.
So Karen, maybe as we go through, you and I have read in detail the grant feedback. We can bring up where we see something where maybe we need to focus more on it than we have.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see, why don't we just start with Karen?
I don't think Maggie was, I think she was in the restroom. So Maggie, this is the project. So we just go through and 1 is the most important, 3 is the least important, we just rate each one in a row, and then I average them for the next meeting.
Okay.
Rachel, I do have a question. Like Kiwanis, all we have for Kiwanis is trail signs and zip lines.
So the other one, the capital improvement project.
So do we want to rate those two? We can throw them in at the end.
I wouldn't, just because we just approved our capital improvement projects, but we can when we go back to our capital
That,
improvement.
I feel like, yeah, those would all be number 1. Should we just say that?
Yeah, capital improvements are kind of assumed, like bigger ones. These are the other projects that didn't meet the capital improvement project list or budget.
Yeah.
But I think, for instance, a good example.
So should we just go around the room and?
Sure.
You want to start, Karen? Butterfront gate control.
It's ongoing. I think it's still important.
Number 1.
I'd give it a 1, yeah.
Yes,
Okay,
I would say 2.
1,
1.
2.
1. How do you feel about the geese?
I have a bunch of lifeguard friends who don't like picking up goose poop, so I don't know what.
Good.
All right, recycling receptacles at all major parks. So we consider all major parks to be the skate park, the beach, we've talked about
Marina Park.
Ford, Marina and Kiwanis.
Karen?
I give that a 1, because I do get that comment a lot, that people are just throwing trash.
Say 1.
One,
One.
I know we talked about that last year and then never did it, so we should make that then a top priority this year. Review environmental best practices for parks maintenance.
I would put that a 1 as well, based on the feedback from the grants.
And this is actually ongoing, not started, but I'm gonna. Go ahead. One.
I guess one.
One.
Standardized signage.
Oh, you-
Nope.
Or no, that is one?
Safety check.
Oh, have an annual, safety, maintenance and ADA compliant checklist for each park.
Another feedback from that grant application. 1, yeah.
One plus.
One. Now standardized signage.
You just said,
Standardize the signage, like that little teeny Kiwanis Park sign, you know.
I'd love to say 1, but there's a lot of things that may be a little bit more important, so I'd give it a 2.
Same.
yeah, two.
Concrete pads on downtown benches.
Is that what goes under the benches?
Yeah, so do we want to concrete?
And we talked
And I
about-
should highlight, some parks this makes sense, and some parks it does not make sense.
Right.
Marina Park, it does not make sense. Because those get moved all the time for concerts, things like that. But parks, I think we concrete the one in Soul Street, sorry, the one that was donated. The one at Washington Access
Yep.
is cemented in. Zorn would probably make sense to cement them in. So that's what we're asking, the parks where that makes sense. Do we want to cement them? It's easier for maintenance for DPW.
To cement them in.
So
Yeah, because they
it
can
was
just
3 left.
go around them.
Was it 3 last year? Okay. So give it a 3.
I'd say 3.
Three.
Great.
Okay. And recreational programming, that was added.
This year.
To our list, yeah. So that has not been scored yet.
We would give that a 2. I think it's a great idea.
I'd say 1.
Two.
1.5.
One. And community outreach.
Bike racks.
Oh, sorry, bike racks.
Did we get a couple last year or something?
We did, so we talked about, powder coating the bike racks we currently have, which we could not do. And then we spoke to DPW and Rob and I are gonna paint a bunch of them, because the ones downtown are black and look really nice.
Yeah.
And the ones in our parks, not black, do not look very nice. So we will paint them, and then my plan was just every year to order about 2. And then eventually we'll make it, kind of like benches, order about 2 a year, so it doesn't have to be, necessarily a big thing in our budget. It's not a capital improvement project, it's something I can just kind of go to the city clerk and say, we're looking at 2 benches for next year.
So if we said 1, it wouldn't be a big deal 1. It'd be
No,
like a-
no, it's still gonna be a process, we're not gonna get all new bike racks in 1 year.
Okay.
We need bike racks.
So it'd be a 1 for painting and then a couple.
Mhm.
1.
1.
One.
2. Perfect. Community outreach, social media outlets.
1.
1.
One.
Okay. Parks volunteer group. Which we pretty much have completed, we're just expanding it at this point.
Do we
Those
need to
would be
vote on it,
additional
or
people beyond
necessarily.
us that.
do we say this is done?
I would say volunteer group, yeah, is completed, but it's always a 1, because we have to treat our volunteers very, very well. So they keep volunteering.
Let's call it 1, but we'll say
Okay.
semi-complete, we'll say complete.
What's next? Annual parks workday.
It's gotta be a 1.
2.
One.
2.
Two.
Create a marketing education strategy involving local schools, businesses, and local newspapers, which is kind of the Parks Corner.
Mhm.
We do a lot of stuff in the school newsletter, the Parks brochure, that's why I put ongoing.
Can I make a comment?
Yeah.
Can you add like all of the past Parks Corners to the website?
Yeah.
The tree board
Yeah.
is all, has all their past articles, and I think that people miss those.
Yeah. Is it in a specific, is it under tree board or is it somewhere else?
I think it's under tree board.
Actually,
And like, maybe Victor could put a link in the newsletter.
So if we're saying one in this one, are we saying it's important, but there isn't a whole lot of extra stuff we have to do at this point?
It seems like an easy one too, like we.
Yeah. It's really
So
just keeping
we'll call
that
it
going.
easy
I would say
though.
we've completed it by starting it. But there are definitely things we can add to it as we go along, like adding to the website, things like that. So I kind of kept it on there for those comments, like how we can improve on it rather than scoring it.
I think we actually do need to spend a little bit of time on branding ourselves and make sure we're checking all the boxes and we're consistent about the presentation of our information, either through Facebook, Instagram, our website, how we communicate to our, the more we can do of that, the more we're gonna be in front of people outside the city of Palm Springs too.
Right.
So I don't think we should discount the importance of this. I would give it a 1+.
I agree. Reach more people.
Yeah, anything using
I
technology.
think that's the importance too of like doing more posts than just like, these are events we're holding, but like, yeah, just
I
like,
posted today about the banner.
yeah.
Yeah.
But no, like, even if it's just like once a week,
Yeah.
you say like, oh, hey. I mean, we aren't doing an event, but there's still lots of snow at Kiwanis if you wanna hike up and down, like,
That would
There's
take
a
the
lot
lead for volunteers,
that, like,
yeah.
37
I
credits.
didn't know, about Parks and Rec until just joining here, so.
Yeah, and there are a lot of people that don't even know you can rent that Kiwanis building.
No, I know.
It's shocking.
I know.
Don't know that, or that it's free.
Right.
Or like they
Make
have
posts.
it, but.
Make a
I know
post.
that, though. We really. how-
I think we posted on our Facebook page when we first started, we haven't since,
Yeah.
but yeah, it needs to be posted more, 'cause people still call.
We'll get your social media game up there.
Yeah.
Flag.
Okay, so
That's a one for me too.
Yeah, should we keep moving? That was a 1 on that.
Yeah.
Survey is 1. I think we just spent a lot of time discussing. We can shorten that one.
Funding, these are also ones that are ongoing, apply for grants yearly, I think we can all agree that's a 1.
Yep.
Reasonable estate. Surveying of Fayette Township, that's a 1.
The 1. Friends of the Park group, I think we were saying that was gonna be for donations. So I think we could do more with that. We just started this last year. We've got a wish list for parks that we could get that out there,
I'd
and
still like to highlight that on the website this spring.
can we say that's a 1? Does everybody like that one? Okay.
Is that where we could collect volunteers too? Back to the park?
Yes.
I mean, we don't just necessarily have to just collect money, but
Yeah,
people
yeah,
that are willing to.
through your time or through your money. Yeah.
We had kind of
Right.
talked about it, it might have been before you were on the board, there's a parks department on the east side of the state where they have a whole page, and it's basically like their wish list. And some items are large, like a picnic table, but some items are like 2 basketballs, and some are like, we need weeding done here, and like their list of events they can volunteer at.
Right.
On like Giving Tuesday and stuff.
Yeah, and it kind of just gives people, they feel like they can be involved without writing $1,000 check for something,
Right, right.
like basketball nets.
I think making a list like that would be really valuable, because I think there's a lot of people that would be willing to do those small things.
I agree, and then you just put like how many you need each, and then you update it every month or.
Yeah.
So make that a 1.
Perfect.
Okay. Annual fundraiser. I feel like we do so many fundraisers, we don't need another one on top of that.
No.
Should we say 3?
I would say 3, 100%.
Rachel, all these ones are gonna be super good.
One for good. Ford Park. Is benches and kayak storage, which will probably take care of itself with the Harbor Commission plan, but I would say.
Yeah, and kayak storage is kind of a sensitive
Yeah.
issue too. Because
I think so much of that is out of our hands at this
Should we
point.
not vote on that? It doesn't matter this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, the new restrooms at Marina Park, it's now been 2.5 years. We're talking about another year.
we're getting there.
One
year at
So
a
Jean
time.
Jardine is a community garden.
Yeah.
This is on our big project list too.
Yeah, that's a capital improvement project now.
We take it off. the
So, yeah, so we
project
can take that off.
Great. No, they talked about Pepper Road where that water station is.
Yeah.
The possibility.
list. I think we're gonna talk more about it next month.
Yeah, that, farming for future is gonna come for next week.
So just FYI, Rachel and I were saying, what do you guys think about trying to have a speaker come and talk to the group like every month for just on some topic for like 10 minutes?
I think that's great. I've learned so much in the last year and a half.
Really cool.
So the next month will be the
Farming
farm guy.
for
Yeah.
future.
Would be great.
Benches and tables. Was Jean Jardine still, your park, all out your area.
Karen?
Do we have very many there at all?
Here's some.
Yeah, more
Do we
maybe
need-
total.
Do we need more?
Well,
Yeah, I don't think so.
there's a lot of people that come down for lunch
Yeah,
and those tables are near the deer park.
I would.
They're not necessarily in G Jardine.
Yeah, I would say the importance isn't do we need more, it's whether we want to brand our parks with all the same tables.
Oh, yeah.
Like, do we want it all to be like Marina Park and now the skate park has
Yeah.
those new green ones? So
Yeah, that's
it's-
nice.
It's less about adding and more about making them nicer.
Consistent.
Yeah,
That's what
consistent,
I
yep.
like. Yeah, I like that one.
I'd say 2.
I'd say 3.
2?
2.
3. 3. And then doing a stadium concert or something at Ottawa Stadium.
Fireworks.
And Karen?
I would make that a 3. Say 2.
2.
3?
2.
3. All right. Kiwanis Park. Trail signage.
I really want to do that.
Yeah.
I want one. I'd like to work with Trevor on it.
2?
2.
1?
2.
2.
The nice thing about that project is, I don't wanna say simple, but fairly simple, but it's not something that,
Well, we have to work around the disc
yeah,
golf trail.
right, but we don't have to
Kind of
contract it
route that.
out or get
No, no, we
anything
can
like
do it
that, so.
ourselves.
Zip line slack line.
Let's take this. Do you guys want to take this off?
I was gonna say 3.
Should have done it instead of the boardwalk.
Sounds like liability to me.
I was like, danger.
Fun but dangerous. Should we take it off?
Take it off.
I would think that. Future.
Also, that would be a capital improvement project, I'm sure.
Yes.
What would it take to change the signage at Kiwanis from being a winter park, it says, when most of the use is disc golf? That's
Yeah.
the most used that it is.
Like the main sign, you mean, or like on the building?
No, it's down on the, near Lake Street.
Yeah, if
I don't-
we.
Does it say Winter Park?
It is, it's really small font, I don't ever pay attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, when we redo all our signage, we probably wouldn't have it, it would just say Kiwanis Park, just be standard. Close quad and skate park, a bike fix at station.
Aren't you already doing that?
Yeah, so we have one to order, we were just kind of waiting for what the wheelway situation.
we don't
was
need
doing
to
with that
vote on it?
pavement.
It's
Yeah,
already,
that's for sure new, happening, it's not
So
very
That's pretty
expensive.
much done, but
Yeah.
we should have it even without the wheelway being
Yeah.
placed.
what do we mean by building update, Rachel? Are we gonna put windows
They need
in?
new windows. That's actually a capital improvement project though. But if we wanted to do like a,
Paint it?
paint it, things like that. Whoa, my battery's running low.
I can't really think if it's bad.
Right
or-
now, I don't think that would be a top priority, just 'cause you have the skate park and we're gonna be blocking off that concession area and putting a door there so the restrooms stay open, but the rest of the building isn't accessible. But that's also a board decision on how you wanna rank it, but the building's not in awful condition by
It
any
is or
means.
isn't?
It isn't, it's gotta be cleaned up, and it does need new windows.
Or does it need a coat of paint like Kiwanis?
Yeah, but Rob and I can do that, that's pretty simple. Nate just painted the outside not that long ago, the inside.
Should we say 1 to get the inside fixed up so it looks as nice as the skate park? Landscaping's already,
Oh, the other thing about,
Budgeted.
sorry, the skateboard building, while we're talking about it, was if I thought about it today when I was with Nate. If we leave those restrooms open, I bet the Little League is gonna use them quite a bit. So I'm gonna speak to Lucas about how powerful those toilets are. Well, because I'm pretty sure they're just like standard flushing, like I know we updated the beach ones, so they're like power flushers. Kind of, but I don't think the skate parks are. I just don't want like a plumbing incident, and no one's there, like staff.
yeah, it's not a big ticket item.
That makes sense.
Toilet
No,
flush,
but it's
under-
not very expensive, but that would be an update we plan on doing.
So, okay, so one on the building, you will say toilets and paint maybe?
Yeah.
I'll help paint again if you need help. Landscaping is already budgeted for, and we don't really have
Yeah.
to vote on this, right?
No.
Okay. Marina Park is ongoing, and we're gonna continue to spend the money on the lawn. Number one for everybody.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Should we take Harbor Eats off? That's either gonna happen or it's not.
Yeah, I mean, I
Just
reached
a
out.
bit, yeah,
to
we were
people,
gonna-
But it's just, it's hard. There are like a lot of comments I get from people are, it's really hard to set up. And then you lose your parking spot. Like you have to get there really early in the morning in the summer, set up.
Is it for like food trucks or something?
Yeah,
Okay.
so like in that little, you know where the tree is in Marina Park?
Yep.
So people can set up there, not a food truck, which is like a tent.
Got it.
But it's just like with parking and everything, I think logistically it's really hard for businesses. And I also think businesses don't have enough staff to have their restaurants
Especially in
open.
summer.
And
And everyone that's done
Yeah.
it hasn't come back.
yeah, it hasn't moved on. It's
too
kind
long.
of like the food trucks, like it's really hard to get food trucks. Cause it's not a great location,
Let's take it off.
so.
Long-term landscaping plan. I guess we can vote on it. I think it's nice to just keep it flexible and open, but
Do we have a plan?
no, there isn't one, but
we
this
bring
is
it
in
in?
here still, I think.
So what,
What else do we want to do there? Maybe we might want to do like a little
Where are you talking?
gazebo for
Marina
performers.
I mean, should we ask for a plan? Should we ask a couple landscapers to put together a proposal or just to see what their ideas, what you're one of those people, you could do that.
Yeah,
create
do we
a-
want to put our
an
attention
overview.
on that though, when there's so many other things?
We had a lot of ones already, so.
No doubt it could be nicer than it is, but it's still nice. Should we keep that as a two?
Yep, two's good.
Shade park. Shade park, tables, benches, and shade options.
So are we talking umbrellas?
Umbrellas, tree.
Well, the locomotive's gonna be going in at some point, right? And
Especially,
then in Ally's classes were really big this summer.
Movement.
So leave it
Yeah.
open.
Yeah, I would say,
Yeah. So I think I would just leave it as it
leave
is.
green space?
Mhm.
Do we want to take it off then, for now?
Or leave it as a 3.
Three, okay.
And the locomotive, what is happening, so I don't know that we even need to have it on
No.
here, right? Dog control's going well, and I think everybody's happy with that, right? So what do we do about that? Just leave that as a 1, but we don't need to do anything?
Yeah, that's what that would be mine. We just monitor it ongoing.
Restrooms and parking, so each, what does that mean?
We still have the
Oh, I
porta
don't-
potty, is that still a porta potty?
Yeah, but I know that Parks Board, like when we first started, talked about putting in like an actual restroom.
it'd be great, but it's a big project.
Yeah, it's a big project. That would be a capital improvement project, even if we did do it, it wouldn't end up on this list. So this is, at this point, would just be rating. Is that important enough to bring to a capital improvement project list at this time? Or
Do
no?
you get complaints from people?
So maybe it's a 3?
I would keep it on there, but.
I mean, you could use the restrooms here when you're
Yeah.
at Soul Beach.
I've never
Be in
had a
water.
complaint. I guess that doesn't mean it's cooler.
Except for when you need to use it and the porta potty's not there.
Right.
You're like,
Oh, yeah, I didn't even do
Maybe
it.
sign that says restrooms available.
Hiking in weekly and then.
Really big.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Are they not gonna do the porta potty or Rachel?
Because that person put in a check.
No, they do.
I
I don't know when Lucas puts them out, but.
So are we gonna leave that as a 2 or 3? 3?
Three's fine.
Okay. Kayak storage, let's take this up because this isn't in our
Yep.
wheelhouse here. Playground install is ready to go. Yeah. Shade options, at the beach. I'd like to do some umbrellas on the tables. I think there are people that do like shade.
We have some umbrellas, right? But not all tables.
Not at
umbrellas?
Zorn.
Not
Oh,
at
Zorn,
Zorn.
yeah, Zorn's.
So Zorn doesn't have the correct tables for umbrellas. So that's why with the umbrellas, we're saying like, do we order, 2 or 1 and put in probably 2, because 1 will look strange, but,
Mhm.
and start gearing towards that.
Do the
That's a good
tables,
idea.
are the tables there consistent though with what we want to have at all the parks?
So we would like them to all be like
All right.
Marina Park.
They're
That's
just
a
wood
goal.
picnic tables now, aren't they?
No,
Yeah, so they're the wood picnic tables.
there's some metal too.
Yeah, there are a couple
Like
metal
the
ones. and those
long
are-
ones that
Yeah,
have the
those
square.
are very heavy. They're nice, they're not going anywhere. But I guess the idea is, do we, like we said, do we want to standardize the parks with all the same tables?
I think if we wanted umbrellas, we could focus on getting the nice tables with a couple umbrellas and move a couple of the other tables to another park that.
Right,
Yeah, so we probably move eventually as we go through the waterfront. Lucas and I have talked about this quite a bit, just because of benches, like we did all the waterfront benches are standard besides Zorn Beach, because we haven't ordered them yet. Those are all from the same company that did Marina Park. For city benches, that we've started ordering them from a different company, but those are all the same green, because like we were ordering from so many different places and they were different shades and it was kind of a mess and you installed them differently. So those are all standard. So if we did ones for Zorn, they'd be the same as Marina Park.
I
Yep.
think focusing on like, this park doesn't have a purpose, so why spend our money here until there's an actual purpose for this park?
I agree with that. Standardize the.
Standardize what's
waterfront
actually
first.
used
Yeah.
versus this isn't a well-used place until we have a purpose for it.
We
But
talking
they
about
still
city
paint those
beach?
picnic tables. They look nice. We
Yeah.
can move them to different areas.
And they're rustic, I think they're fine at Kiwanis.
Mhm.
So what are we saying then about new table, why don't we make that new tables and shade options? What does everybody think on that?
Yeah.
1,
Yeah.
okay. We talked about the game box that, not to junk it up, but maybe just to have like a thing that comes out in the morning, not a permanent thing.
On wheels or something.
Here that, just something that,
Lifeguards
the,
can help.
lifeguards can
Yeah.
bring out,
Like a big storage box, like a dot box.
not that big. I think. Just to have like sand toys.
Yeah, plastic camper or something, bunch of
Yeah.
dollar store beach toys.
I'd say 1. I'm with 1,
Yeah.
Yep, give it a 1. The railing is already on the capital improvement plan, so
That's happening.
we take it off then, I guess.
And I did update that quote with Robert Class. It's the same.
Update it with,
I just wanted to make sure it was still the same quote we got.
oh. I wonder, one thought I've been having about that is, could we revisit why we can't do horizontal wires? Like on the boardwalk?
Yeah.
I think to be consistent, we've got so many different fences, in Harbor Springs. I don't know
I
that
guess I
anybody
don't see
knows.
the difference though in that versus what's there now.
But did
Again, would
did
be
you
my
have the
thought.
wire with vertical wire?
Not right now.
That's why people can't climb them, like over them, which I mean, it's still someone technically good, but.
Well, I mean, it's on the boardwalk and so we get hurt pretty good climbing off that.
Harbor Fence doesn't do them horizontal anymore, which is fine, we go with another company, it doesn't, not sold on Harbor Fence by any means, like Ken. But yeah, I don't have a problem with horizontal, I guess in my mind, I don't know if that would stop anyone more than what's there currently, I guess is my thought process with it.
Well,
But-
it would be to code, like
Closer together.
whatever.
Closer together.
Yeah. And who did the one on the boardwalk? Cups people?
sure.
Couldn't
I
we
thought
just-
at one point Cup said he thought he might have extra material from the
Yeah, so
boardwalk.
Couldn't we just use Harbor Fence, the most expensive?
I mean, I would reach out and see if they have the material left
Yeah.
from the boardwalk.
I would dare say we could maybe get it for half what they quoted.
And then do we still want to do then the wood posts?
Yeah, I guess.
So